24-25 campaign, and arguably this is their stiffest test. Let's check out the teams for you. Arsenal give first summer appearances to David Raya and William Saliba in a strong opening lineup. Jorginho, Leandro Trossard and Fabio Vieira also come in from the side that started versus Liverpool in Philadelphia. Kai Havertz plays against the club where he started his career. The German made 118 Bundesliga appearances, scoring 36 goals in a 4-year period in the first team. As for Bayer Leverkusen, well, Granit Xhaka returns to Emirates for the first time since he left Arsenal last summer, while the visitors make 4 changes to the side that drew 2-2 with Lens in their last friendly. Jeremy Frimpong, Florian Wirtz, Piero Hincapié and Jonathan Tah return. Summer signings Martin Terrier and Alex Garcia start for the German champions. Well, the Gunners have only played Leverkusen twice in competitive action before. That was way back in 2002, of course, and the Gunners got the better of the German side over the course of the 2 games. Granit Xhaka, of course, back on familiar territory this evening. The Swiss international, key part of their side, of course, in the European Championships in the summer, but a well-loved member of the Arsenal squad for a number of years. He, of course, placed 225 times for the Gunners in league play, scoring 17 goals across 7 years. David Raya, who, of course, was part of the winning Spanish squad at the European Championships in Germany. He did make 1 appearance for the successful side as Mikel Arteta takes his place in the dugout, hoping to get one over an old friend of his, Xabi Alonso, of course, the 2 managers going head-to-head for the first time as coaches. They did go head-to-head, of course, as players on a number of occasions when they were both in the Premier League. They grew up very close to each other and played for the same Saturday side when they were juniors before their careers split apart. Going to Barcelona, of course, for Mikel Arteta, for Xabi Alonso, Real Sociedad. Our referee is Sam Barrett, and we're just about to get this fixture underway here in North London. First summer friendly in the capital for Arsenal, all in red, taking on the German champions Bayer Leverkusen. We're underway then at the Emirates Show with Dan Roebuck and David Hillier this evening as football returns to North London after the summer break. David, this is going to be an interesting test for the Gunners here, a Bayer Leverkusen side that were only beaten once across 53 matches in all competitions last season, unbeaten in the Bundesliga, German Cup winners as well, only falling short to Atalanta in Europa League. This is going to be interesting tonight.
Yeah, and it's the 4th of 3 pretty tough pre-season games, I'd say, when you look at the level of opponents. Bournemouth probably being the weakest side, starting off with them in the beginning. And as you said, German champions, you don't get any bigger than that. And they was a very organised unit last season in the Bundesliga, so they'll be very difficult to break down. And it will be a test for this side today.
Certainly be interesting the way that Bayer Leverkusen go about their business this season. Back in the Champions League, of course, they're in pot 2 along with Arsenal, incidentally. We'll know the draw a little bit later on this month. Qualifiers being played out over the course of the next few weeks. Both of these sides in the group stages, proper group stages that stretch out for 8 games, of course, now into the new year. And Bayer Leverkusen will be amongst the teams that are expected to go well. Arsenal, one of the favourites, of course, having been knocked out by Bayern Munich last season. Second in the Premier League, of course, just behind Manchester City. Can the Gunners go one better? That is obviously the ambition for Mikel Arteta. And so imperative these days, David, that teams start strongly, because if you fall behind in the Premier League, seemingly there is no way back. You have to be there or thereabouts from match day 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen that probably in the last 6 or 7 seasons, I reckon, Dan, that you've really got to hit the ground running. And I think these players nowadays, where we used to have a substantial break in the summer, you know, 4 or 5 weeks without any football or even any training or any even dietary advice. Now, I think they come back so well conditioned, they're looking after themselves at such a high level. It's become the expectation. But as you said, you need to get that great start. And Arsenal are going to need it this year. Gone close in the last couple of seasons, but Arteta does need to go that one step further for himself and for the club.
Leverkusen have a throw. Hincapié will take a block And a painful one as well for Gabriel Jesus, not averse to putting himself around, such a hard-working player, and playing up front. Mikel Arteta deciding that Jesus is going to get a go in these pre-season games with Kai Havertz in midfield, as he started last season, but of course he finished as Arsenal's main striker. Let's see what Leverkusen can do as they come forward on the right-hand side. Their season starts a little later than the Gunners in terms of their league play. Shorter campaign, of course. Here is Granit Xhaka, with just 34 games as opposed to 38, but a German Super Cup fixture against Stuttgart the same weekend that the Premier League campaign kicks off. And so far in pre-season friendlies, 1 win and 1 draw for Xabi Alonso's team. Here is Xhaka. Now it's with Alex Garcia, who spreads the play nicely. Incapi will bounce out, just unable to get there. Arsenal knocked out by Bayern Munich in the Champions League last season. Of course, Bayer Leverkusen were too good for Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga last term. But it was maybe interesting to see the Gunners back in the Champions League last season, and maybe lacked a little bit of know-how against the likes of Porto, just about scrambled beyond the Portuguese side and then knocked out by Bayern Munich. So the test tonight against Bayer Leverkusen, Arsenal might learn a little bit more about themselves.
Yeah, I think so. They're on a journey, aren't they, in Europe, and having just got back into it, a little bit in Europa, and then finally Champions League. It is going to take a couple of goes at it, I think, to get that experience and to get the squad experience for those games. I thought the manager did all he could do with the players he had available. But this season, really, if they want to move on in Champions League and Premier League, it's about having a fit, stable, strong squad and more depth in it. And I think he's looking to that, looking to get that going.
Saliba. First appearance for William Saliba after going deep into the Euros with France. Played every single minute of the Premier League campaign for the Gunners last term. And now Ødegaard, fit and firing and fresh after Norway failed to make the summer party on the continent. Vieira, an opportunity on that right-hand side tonight. Be interesting to see how he goes as well. Jorginho is the holder for Arsenal. With Italy, of course, in the European Championships. Disappointing campaign for a nation that were the reigning champions coming into the tournament. Havertz to knock round the corner. Bundesliga Player of the Year. Sporting the bleach blonde bob. Incapi. And his Havertz won't get there. And Arsenal with a throw. Big season for Fabio Vieira, injured for part of last campaign, groin and foot problems that kept him out of the squad. It was going to be difficult to try and find a place in it, and indeed in the starting lineup for that matter, but we know what quality he does have.
Yeah, I think it was an important season for him last year to try and just make that change up, go up a grade, and like you said, he had a couple of setbacks, and I think that held him back a little bit. A bit like when Ødegaard first came, he was a little bit lightweight, a little bit sort of not used to the physicalities of the Premier League, and at times he did show great potential, Vieira, but just maybe let down a little bit physically and decision-making. But the manager believes in him, Dan. You know, he's a player who wants to do well in there, and there are opportunities in that midfield. You look at the bench tonight, Thomas Partey, Saka and Declan Rice, not even involved in this side yet, and already I'm looking down at a pitch with quite a lot of quality on it.
Tellier to clear. Here is Gabriel. Now David Raya. Golden Glove winner in the Premier League last season. Didn't feature in all the games as well. And Ramsdale, of course, started as Arsenal's #1 before Raya arrived by way of a loan. The deal done permanently this summer. Jesus, and now Zinchenko. And that's with a layoff. Gabriel. Zinchenko again, the new number 17, you'll note, for Arsenal. Alex Zinchenko, been some fantastic players that have worn the number 17 previously, David.
There have. It's a great list, and I'm fortunate enough to just be hanging on at the bottom in the programme today, Dan. Right at the bottom. think someone must have had a little jolt in their memory and thought, hold on a minute. But yeah, back in the days of the squad numbers.
Havertz through inside the penalty area. This is Zinchenko with the effort, finds the corner brilliantly. Stunning shot, arrowing in beyond Kovar. Wonderful strike from the Ukraine star, and inside the opening 8 minutes here, Arsenal lead Leverkusen by a 1-0. Stunning strike.
Yeah, it's a really swift move down the left. Havertz bends his run and picks the ball up in the channel, and I think you see the replay, there was a lovely little dummy or over from Martin Odegaard, I think. There we see Havertz make the run, cutback comes in, just left there. It's a lovely strike by Zinchenko. I think the keeper probably could have done better, Dan. It was a strike with the inside of his foot rather than, well, maybe it was a good full-on strike looking at it from that angle. Yeah, he picked it up lovely. Great start for the Gunners.
Always seems to be speculation surrounding Alexander Zinchenko. He's such a terrific footballer. Great attitude as well since coming to Arsenal, bought into what Mikel Arteta wants to do here. And he's got a lot of quality, as he's showing already. Here is Odegaard, and this is Havertz. Trossard will take a touch. Oh, that is wonderful. That is real quality, real class. Arsenal have a second here in double quick time. And the German champions are being torn apart by the Gunners. It is Arsenal 2, Leverkusen 0.
Yeah, still in shock from that first goal. Arsenal just took complete control. The move they just scored with reminds me of the little warm-up drills they were doing before the game down across the edge of the box. 3 little set passes, but it all came from a mistake. Arsenal winning the ball back. And this availability and what composure by Trossard at the end. It's almost like the Harlem Globetrotters just playing around with it. I don't want to get too carried away though, Dan, but certainly looking lively at the moment.
12 goals in the Premier League last season, 17 in all competitions. You could argue that he's Arsenal's most ruthless finisher.
Absolutely, especially I think if you looked at it for goals per minute as well, and chances, Dan, because when he doesn't get many chances when he comes on. It might be 2 or 3, but he gets the goal. But he gets those 2 or 3 in 10 or 15 minutes, so he's got to be right up there.
That's loses out. Odegaard looking to flick on. Tapsoba with a touch, and now Jonathan Tah, the skipper. He can be on the left-hand side, high towards the far post, but it's just going to bounce through. It was that was trying to get on the end of it. Bukayo Saka all smiles. First time we've seen him, of course, this summer. Likewise, Declan Rice, 2 of England's stars of the European Championships that went so close. The Three Lions' glory in Germany, came short against Spain, but of course will be integrated sooner rather than later. But the players on show at the moment are giving Mikel Arteta, who is always described as a good headache for coaches, because we know that Saka and Rice are almost certain to start that first game against Wolves for Arsenal. But if the players are on the pitch as Havertz comes forward for Bayer Leverkusen, good defensive work. Gabriel is there as well. The referee is going to halt play here. But if you can impress, we know that Mikel Arteta is quite happy to give you a go. We've seen that over the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think, you know, when you're looking at, there is a reason that there are players on the bench, and probably Arsenal's best players, and in my opinion, a couple of England's best players in the championships this summer. You know, they are going to come back in the side, but you're right. This gives the manager ideas, and what it shows, Dan, is it shows the squad in depth understand the way the team want to play, because they've come into positions and they're playing just like the players who have vacated them for this moment in time. You know, Jorginho comes in and he does exactly what you need. He does his job properly. He does what Rice does to a level which helps the team, and the manager needs players like that. I think Calafiori is going to be a similar sort of player for the first season as well.
Brilliantly taken down. Arsenal come forward to the Belgian again, inside the area. Easily cleared away by Piero Incapi. Control from Saliba, class and quality.
He's another player I felt went up a notch in the Euros. As far as his profile goes, he's now internationally a Rolls-Royce cruiser. He looked fantastic, I thought.
It's interesting, there was a lot of chatter about him maybe not starting for France in the Euros and Didier Deschamps maybe going elsewhere, as he had done for much of the qualification process, but that proved to be a red herring because he played so well. A little out of position, of course, the left-hand side of France's defensive duo. As you look at Alex Zinchenko, also, of course, played in the European Championships. Ukraine may be a little unlucky to bow out at the group stages. Such a key performer. A terrific squad player to have. 27, still got plenty of years in front of him to play. You always think, could he play a little bit further forward if Arsenal do decide to play Timber or Calafiori or whoever at left back? But there is significant and serious competition for places, with the players on show in red and white. Havertz, Trossard. Loses out. Frimpong will pick it up and look to use his pace. Trossard unable to win it back. Xhaka. Havertz. Leverkusen with players in advanced positions. Tapsoba with a touch. Flipped back by Tellier. Incapi left-hand side if Tapsoba can spot him. Arsenal just take a bit of a breather here. Leverkusen's turn to try and press forward. Incredible campaign last season, unbeaten in the Bundesliga. Rode their luck on occasion, lots of last-minute levellers and winners, but unbeaten nonetheless as they claim the title for the first time and finally shook off that Leverkusen tag. Well, the big summer signing for Arsenal is, of course, Riccardo Calafiori, signed from Bologna. Not involved in the matchday squad yet. Did play for Italy, of course, in the Euros. Star for Bologna, who made the Champions League, of course. Here is Fabio Vieira, the Portuguese, to curl in. A lot of debate, David, amongst Arsenal supporters as where Calafiori is going to fit in.
Well, I think you mentioned competition for places earlier. It's what the manager wants. It's what every good side has. I think he'll be keeping the squeeze on Gabriel for that left-hand side of the central defence. And I'm not sure if Kivior's ready for that position yet, and Kivior's probably more suited for me as a left-back. And also, I think with Gabriel's season last year, he had a great season, but you've got to keep him on his toes. You can't have no one behind him pushing him this season, so he maybe sits back and cruises a little bit. He's a player who needs to be kept on his toes. He plays on the front foot, so you've got to keep him there. But there will be a time when his position becomes available, and you've got to have players coming in. I think Calafiori has showed, I think he's had 100 top-level appearances, and for a young man, his stats are impressive. So I think we've got a good deal there.
Leverkusen coming forward, but the through ball from Kusunu not quite good enough. Kusunu, just 23, but has been part of the squad for the last few years. Over 70 Bundesliga appearances. Same from Club Brugge. Ivory Coast international. Arsenal will play out from the back. Here is Gabriel and now David Raya. Low trajectory trying to hit Havertz. Kusunu for Tala. Tapsoba is tight. Xhaka. Standout campaign last term, only missed the one game in the Bundesliga. 3 goals, scored the winner in the cup final against Kaiserslautern. Tellier. Xhaka once more. Tellier for Kusunu, who loses out. And it's Arsenal coming forwards here. Jesus, Ødegaard and Fabio Vieira getting in advanced positions. Jesus is one of them. Might fall for Martin Ødegaard. It does. Jorginho to recycle. Zinchenko. Trossard again. Two to deal with.
It's a good break by Trossard down that side, and the strike by Ødegaard. We saw him so many times last season, didn't we? Hit the back of the net with strikes like that. First time clean. That was a good strike, but a good block by Leverkusen. But I'm surprised at their lack of movement. They're a very rigid side. Whether it's just the tactics for this game and for the start of it, it's certainly not working because they're 2-0 down. But there's not a lot of movement, considering, you know, a lot of times they've got 3 players up front. You'd think they'd be more interchangeable, but they're not. They're running in the same sort of channels.
Yeah, we're just caught here. Capi, the perpetrator, played for Ecuador in the Copa America in the summer. Ecuador were knocked out at the quarter-final stage on penalties by Argentina. Jorginho, there is Xabi Alonso. 3 times on the winning side against Mikel Arteta when they came up against each other in midfield battles in the Premier League. Brilliant player. Jesus looking to take on all comers here. Who can he tee up? No one is the answer. Saliba. Then White.
Already you can see, Dan, that movement across the front. Havertz coming short, Ødegaard spinning into the little holes. You've got Zinchenko going forward, pulling out of the hole, allowing Trossard to get space wide. They're all really, really sharp with opening up space for each other. Here we go again.
Trossard, space left-hand side. Havertz calling for it, so is Fabio Vieira. It'll come for Ødegaard. Was he just put off a little by the presence of Fabio Vieira? It ricochets around and goes out for a corner anyway.
Yeah, just as I was talking about it, Zinchenko goes forward, he comes out of a space that he knows he doesn't want the ball, he goes short. And Trossard gets in. I think this strike, if it's on target, it's another, well, yeah, he just sort of duffs it a bit, gets away with a deflection on the corner, but the movement is lovely and fluid. It's nice to see that Arteta's not changed anything either tactically. I think if anything, we're maybe not going in the press on them so much, just being a bit more conservative and picking our times when we go in. But that can only be a good thing, I think.
99% of corners were in-swingers last season, and this is something similar to the near post, punched away by Mate Kovar. He's not first choice keeper, he's a former Manchester United junior, never made the grade at Old Trafford, had long spells at Swindon and Burton, but has been given a go here by Bayer Leverkusen. Made 1 league appearance last term at Czech Republic International, did play in the Euros, just the 1 appearance. Young keeper as Arsenal put some pressure on the young man in orange.
And what you've got to be careful of in these games as well, Dan, is giving away your tactics and that, like your little corners and things. You don't want to be doing the stuff you're going to be doing in the Premier League, like the signals and the different movements from different corners. So a lot of the time we will see pretty standard corners in these games, and save the special moves for the big games.
To the near post this time, cleared away, but not quite on his way. Zinchenko will aim it back towards David Raya. Arsenal stuck again. The diagonal is towards Jesus. Fabio Vieira wins it back. There's a rather wild swing of the left boot from Gabriel in all that. He played a couple of times in the United States for Arsenal on the tour. Just 1 Copa America appearance for Brazil against Paraguay. Another disappointing tournament for Brazil. There's the swipe on his former teammate Xhaka. Offers his apologies straight away. Must have had 1 or 2 of those in training over the years. Xhaka probably dished out 1 or 2 as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a little comment that we couldn't see from up here, like, oh no, that didn't really hurt. We've got to do better than that. But Granit was a great servant. You've got to say he came back from some adversity that could have ended him pretty swiftly here at Arsenal. And he came back with a vengeance. He pulled his shoulders back, stuck his chest out, and he led the team. And I think he helped in this rise, if you like, that Arsenal are on. He was a very important part of it. And then to go to Leverkusen straight the season after and perform the way he did in a team that obviously needed a player like that, you know, you've only got to have respect for him.
A brilliant servant. And you're right, there's not too many players that are turning around when fans turn against you. And he did that and more.
Yeah, not just turning it around by getting back on their side. His actual game got better. The responsibility of what he did or what happened made him grow.
Well, the argument was Mikel Arteta started to play him in his preferred position, a little bit further forward and away from any sort of significant defensive responsibilities, where occasionally he might have been caught short for Arsenal in certain games over the years.
Yeah, I think that's maybe where the frustrations developed, with supporters, even with himself and the team setup, the way, you know, where he was played. But certainly that last season of his was fantastic.
Continuing forwards, Frimpong's touch. Xhaka with the outside of the boot, does find his teammate again, but Zinchenko will win it back. Trossard helps out and then loses out. Leverkusen on the move all of a sudden. That decision does not go Amin Adli's way. Every single Arsenal player so comfortable on the ball in tight areas, in defensive positions. Long for Jesus. Sunu initially heads it forward, but Jesus will get another go. That was a little loose from Alex Garcia. Trossard, fans want him to shoot. He's going to oblige, I think. It is Trossard. Oh, it's a good save as well by Kovar. Gets across well to his right-hand side. Do not give this man an inch. He will take a mile.
Yeah, Leverkusen just seemed to back off him a little bit. The space opened up. A little bit of a P-roller, I thought, when he struck it, but obviously had enough pace to trouble Kovar. Let's have a look at it here. Yeah, it just maybe unsighted slightly from the defender, but loves to come inside on that right foot.
Bit of a daisy cutter. Arsenal corner. Trossard on duty in swinger, the order of the day. Arsenal line up with 3 back posts, 2 inside the 6-yard area. Short this time, in fact. Gunners mix things up from the flag kick. Zinchenko. Will turn. Trossard will play towards the penalty spot, but even though Saliba was close, not quite close enough to get a touch on that. Gabriel in a bit of a physical battle there. No one to shy away from that. So come across from the right-hand side. It is a back 3 for Leverkusen, not quite working maybe as the scoreline suggests. Arsenal lead by 2-0. We're into the second part of this opening half. First quarter in the book. First of a double-header of pre-season games at the Emirates Stadium. Lyon, of course, at the weekend as well. That is the designated Emirates Cup fixture. Tapsoba's touch. Xhaka for Tapsoba again. This is Jonathan Tah. Odilon Kusunu. Now Florian Wirtz. Scored an equaliser against Spain for Germany before the Germans lost out, of course, in extra time. Arguably the game of the Euros. Quite the European Championships that many thought he would have. Still popped up with that 1 goal. Former Manchester City junior, as Alex Garcia is incidentally. Also starting this evening for Leverkusen. Didn't make the grade at City. Tapsoba, he will take it down, but surely the flag is going to go up, and it does. More used as a substitute last season, Amin Adli scored 4 goals, 8 appearances, 15 goals from the bench.
Yeah, I'm impressed with the back four here. You just look at that shape, you look across, the fullbacks are just in front of the central defenders. One central defender just drops until he's sure that Howard's run is offside. They're all on the same page, they're all aware of where each other's position. I mean, we knew it was a really good defensive performances last season from the side, you know, probably the best, for me, best defence in the league, and the most complementary to each other. So that's probably a part of the team that I think Arteta can kind of leave alone a little bit, just have a bit of backup for. Maybe the left-back area, a few questions, who plays there? Certainly at the moment, they're all on point with position and in relation to each other. We're looking right down the line of it now. It just looks like a proper back four. As the ball switches over, Ben White pushes in and it all curves around.
Statistically the best defence in the Premier League. 91 goals scored as well, not too shabby. Quality everywhere, 2 points short. Top of the week to go. Leverkusen buried that goal down the road against City in that midweek game for Spurs. Might have been Arsenal's title, I'm sure. Very confident it will be this season.
Havertz has gone down. I think just went for a header. He's never really going to make it. I'm not sure whether it was on landing or he's been caught.
Well, we've seen Havertz only play midfield so far when starting games in pre-season. Does that mean that he will start in midfield, do you think, David, when that game against Wolves comes around? Or is Mikel Arteta kidding us all once again? Jesus has been given the go at the moment, has scored, of course, on tour, but Havertz was so good last season when Arsenal reverted to the German up front. He was the real focal point.
I think this pre-season's been more important for Jesus than Havertz, because I think it's about getting Jesus back to where he was, or where he should have been before his injuries, and not getting a full-time role in the side. I think Havertz done so well last season. You could almost say, look, we're going to play Jesus up front for the first 3 or 4 pre-season games, get him running, get him right in the groove. You're just going to play off him. But come the season, we know that they're interchangeable. So I think this pre-season's been more about getting Jesus 100%, because I think Havertz is where the manager wants him to be. You've got to say, it contributed massively to Arsenal's success last season in their final finishing position. And again, manager believed in him, and he won the fans over, which is probably the best way to earn your stripes. You know, to actually win fans over rather than come as the best player in the world and just continue it. Arsenal fans have always loved someone, an underdog who's done well. And you've got to say Havertz is fulfilling this criteria at the moment.
Well, the applause you can hear is for Bukayo Saka and co warming up at the minute. Saka, the focus of the fan support, but a number have donned the orange bibs and going through 1 or 2 fairly gentle stretching exercises. There's always an argument about Saka and how much you're playing, but he is so good. Adli races forward, Gabriel slides across.
It's the classic Gabriel from last season, isn't it? The recovery challenge that he celebrates almost like a goal. But he did have a bit of a heavy touch on the left-hand side, lost the ball, and in due course won it back for Arsenal in his box.
For Ødegaard under pressure. Gabriel spies Zinchenko in space. Havertz fully recovered, makes the move down the left as Ødegaard is trapped by Havertz. Now it's with Jorginho. Ben White. Fabio Vieira against Incapié. Jorginho for Ødegaard to turn. Caught there by Edmund Tapsoba. That's a free kick. Ødegaard too quick.
Doesn't even look, does he? Knows the challenge is coming from the left side, so he takes the ball first touch to the right. Tapsoba just couldn't read it, wasn't quick enough, like you said, Dan. It's a good position, this. I don't think it'll be a strike on goal. It's a little bit too far out.
I was going to say, Arsenal haven't scored from a free kick for so long in the Premier League. Ødegaard was the last one to score a couple of seasons ago now against Burnley, but it's not going to be a shot on goal, as you mentioned here, too far out.
There's no surprise that Gabriel is over there telling Ødegaard exactly where he wants that ball, because he's going to head it in. We've seen him get a couple of goals in there, haven't we, when he's put his head in areas where no one else would put their foot. And I'm not sure whether Ødegaard could get it into that penalty spot. It's quite a sharp angle.
Ødegaard might leave this Trossard.
Yeah, I think it'd be right foot Trossard.
Yeah, he's going to take responsibility. Comes towards Ben White and co, but it's defended fairly well. It's out for a corner. After a raucous start to the fixture, Arsenal 2 to the good inside the opening 10 minutes. The game has quietened down a little. Leverkusen have found a little bit of form and a little bit of fight, but Arsenal have got another corner here which Trossard jogs across to take. Ben White inside the 6-yard box naturally, not quite on the keeper this time around, moves towards the near post, it's cleared away and then nodded back in, and well, Kovar drops on that. Comfortable save, Zinchenko. Opportunist effort. Yeah,
I think if anything it needed a little bit of height, didn't it, maybe to loop over into that back corner, but Kovar has made plenty of it.
Gabriel Jesus looking for Havertz. He has got Trossard with him. Havertz to take it on, Trossard to take a touch. Jesus inside the box, Kovar slides in.
Another swift break from Arsenal. You can see as soon as they have a chance of turnover in and around the penalty area, 10-15 metres out of it, the players just come alive. Little runs going off of Havertz there. Ødegaard in the mix.
So sober forwards, Incapi, Havertz, Adli, Xhaka, better from Leverkusen. Everyone to Incapi's right pretty much. Frimpong the target, Zinchenko with a header. Trossard a little loose, but Zinchenko takes no chances. Jonathan Tah.
Sorry.
Another German international finds Frimpong, the Dutchman. All the Arsenal subs warming up incidentally. Tapsoba. Incapi. Xhaka. Havertz for Incapi again. Adli calling for it. Alex Garcia. Part of that really good Girona side that qualified for the Champions League last season in La Liga, that's being split up at the moment. Savio has gone to Manchester City. Alex Garcia has come to Leverkusen, which coveted players who did brilliantly in the Spanish top division. Frimpong looking to use his pace. Well, he put his head up but couldn't find a teammate. Having done the hard work to beat his man, maybe should have done better with the delivery.
Yeah, chances are few and far between for him getting down that right-hand channel, and you've got to make the most of them. He just squares it back, no players coming into the box, and Arsenal have got on the attack straight from that bay attack.
Jesus with a shot. Oh, and he's gone in! Gabriel Jesus, who's worked tirelessly in the opening 37 minutes here, dropping deep, drifting left and right, real industry and energy, and finding some quality here with a precision strike to beat Matej Kovar to give Arsenal a third. Really good work, and all his own work as well. Gabriel Jesus on the score sheet. It's Arsenal 3, Leverkusen 0.
Yeah, all his own work, and again it was a little bit of a dribbler sort of shot, similar to the Trossard shot from earlier, but it came from Leverkusen being on the attack, getting a throw in after Frimpong going down the outside. All of a sudden they give the ball away from a throw, and he finds himself just getting more and more space on the edge of the box. And for me, Kovar's got to do a little bit better there. Then I thought he made a mean of the Trossard one, was a little bit laboured getting down, but he goes far too far to the left of his goal as well for his starting position, the keeper. But Jesus makes no mistake. Goals are goal. Arsenal 3-0 up. I think Alonso will be a bit disappointed with his players at half-time.
Gabriel Jesus scored against Manchester United in America, had hamstring issues, knee problems last season. Last goal in the Premier League, of course, was against Nottingham Forest in that 2-1 away victory back in January. His only goal of 2024 competitively. Missed out on the Brazil squad for the Copa America. He will be desperate to prove himself again. 27, and look, we know what a quality player, a hard worker he is. Tend to look at his goal-scoring record because he's a striker, but he is such a terrific footballer, great attitude, brilliant team player. Big season for him. Deserved goal. Frimpong delivers well. Saliba clears away.
There's a good ball in from Frimpong. Martin Terrier almost getting a little flick on across the front of Saliba, but Saliba with the clearing header. It's interesting, when Arsenal get passed through in the midfield, defenders are not going to try to win the ball straight away. It's about recovering into good, safe positions first, and this shows a bit of experience now in that defence.
That's 6 to Emma inside the area here. Havertz again, drops the shoulder, and it's Garcia to dig out the cross, too close to David Raya, and straight away he's on the lookout to try and get something going here for Arsenal. Jesus will turn, runs into trouble, doesn't lose possession, real tenacity from the Brazilian, and then caught. Well, that was a little late, a little nasty as well. Another day, that might be a yellow card if it was a competitive game. It was Martin Terrier, I think, with the challenge. Looks like he's enjoying himself, doesn't he, Gabriel Jesus?
Yeah, well, he should be. I mean, he's working hard, he's involved in the game, he's got a lovely goal, he's getting quite a lot of possession in the centre of the pitch.
Adli for Frimpong. Terrier waits, Havertz wants it back. 3 line up on the edge of the area. One of them, Arsenal old boy Xhaka. Havertz again, Frimpong to trick and turn inside the area, but ultimately lose out. Then we've got 2 players down here, one of each flavour. Adli's not yet back up. Tapsoba to come forwards. Saliba takes one for the team.
Can't break through. The defence gets nice and compact, closes down the space for the balls to be played in, happy for it to go back or square. Arsenal look very, very comfortable defensively.
Incampi. Try and run through Gabriel, that's what happens. He is a man at mountain, 2 of the toughest defenders in the Premier League, in European football, world football, for Arsenal's defensive duo centrally.
Yeah, I think the worst thing in the world you can do is try and play right up against them and play a physical game against a physical player. It was always, when we played back in the day, the players that gave our defenders the most problems, Baldy and Adams, were mobile players who came short. Maybe a little bit physical as well, your Mark Hugheses, but they came into areas where defenders didn't want to be. And that'll be the key to playing against those 2.
Zinchenko and Gabriel both go for the same ball, and Leverkusen will work an opening. Tellier to turn, does well, finds a bit of space and a teammate. Kusunu. Two and a half minutes to go until the break. Arsenal lead Leverkusen by 3-0. Havertz up against Fabio Vieira. Sola intercepts. Alex Garcia for Tellier via Xhaka. Then a loose one.
I've got to say, I've not been overly impressed with Leverkusen. Their technical level, even their output, energy-wise. I think, you know, like I said, a little bit rigid. But I know they won last season. You were saying, Dan, you know, a lot of late goals, a lot of digging in games, and you know, grinding results out. So I think Alonso's got a lot on his plate this season, replicating last year's title win, and he had the option of going, didn't he? He probably, you know, the clubs definitely wanted him.
Well, you would have imagined. I mean, Bayern Munich were looking for a boss. Liverpool were looking for a boss. He played for both teams. Yeah. Real Madrid, you always wonder about Carlo Ancelotti. If Xabi Alonso said he wanted to go, they'd probably, you know, get him if they could. But he wants to stay with Leverkusen. A lovely play from Ødegaard, and then it just loses out. He obviously believes in the squad and thinks that he can have a real impact in the Champions League. There's always a suggestion that the star names might go. Only Josip Stanisic, who was on loan from Bayern. Very note they've lost. Here is Frimpong wriggling free, tapped away from him, and then the shot from Kusunu is charged down. But I think whatever happens to Leverkusen this season, Xabi Alonso's stock is going to remain high. He's still probably going to get the pick of a few coaching jobs, but it's whether Arne Slot as well at Liverpool might not come up again for a few years.
Yeah, definitely. But I think he's very brave as well to take on the challenge again for a second season. Like you said, he could have left on a real high, you know, at the top of his game, so to speak.
Decent looking ball in. David Raya will make it his. I think that Adli didn't realise it was going to get to him, and the shot was a bit awkward and easy for David Raya after good work from Frimpong, and that might be a little worry for Mikel Arteta, because when Frimpong does run Zinchenko, he usually beats him. However, half-time done and dusted, and it was Zinchenko who put the Gunners in front with an arrow-like shot. Wonderful strike from the Ukraine star. Trossard with some fast feet inside the area, made it two with a clever goal. And then Gabriel Jesus wrapped things up with a third. We expect plenty of changes for the second half, but the Gunners have been at it, and Leverkusen have been lightweight. The German champions have been swept aside after 45 minutes here. And at the break at the Emirates Stadium, it is Arsenal 3, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Trossard is certainly going to stay on. But great to see Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Miles Lewis-Skelly looks like he's going to come on as well. 4 changes all told here for the Gunners. And a huge reception for Arsenal's star boy, Bukayo Saka. Gunners superstar, so good for England at the European Championships. Miles Lewis-Skelly, one for the future or one for the here and now? A player with real quality, central midfielder, young man, very much going places. We shall see how he fits in to the Arsenal lineup here. And Jakob Kivior, who came in and did a really good job for the Gunners at either centre-half or left-back last season, also coming on. Mikel Arteta playing his first hand when it comes to alterations and subs for this pre-season friendly. Great to see Declan Rice as well. 7 goals from midfield last season, and of course in the engine room for England in the Euros. Confirm the players that have gone off for you in just a second. Second half about to get underway. Underway for the second half then here at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal lead by Leverkusen by 3-0. Zinchenko, Trossard, Gabriel Jesus, all on the score sheet for the Gunners. Jesus, incidentally, one of the players who will not be out for the second period. As we look around the Arsenal pitch, other alterations here to see Zinchenko want to come off. So those are the two changes that we know of so far. Huge cheer for Declan Rice. Fabio Vieira has also departed. Bukayo Saka, of course, will play over on that right-hand side. Here is Kivior, who's come on for William Saliba. That's the other change as well. So the 4 alterations for you for Arsenal. So Saka back, Rice back, Kivior at centre-half. We'll see how Havertz gets on now playing in that central striking role, David.
I think straight away, taking that little bit of experience out of the back will give Leverkusen maybe a little bit more hope up front of retaining the ball, being able to affect better movement. So the rest of the team are going to have to kind of possibly compensate for that. Hopefully Kivior can just go in, settle into that Saliba position. Skelly on this left-hand side, I think it's going to be basically, for him, a remit of, if there's space in front of you, go and play in the midfield. And, you know, leave Arsenal with 3 at the back.
So changes for Arsenal, changes for by Leverkusen as well. Nathan Tella, as we mentioned, who did play a part in Leverkusen's title-winning side last season, was mainly used as a substitute, signed for £20 million from Southampton when they were relegated back in the Premier League, of course, for the upcoming season. And we'll see how he can adapt back in England. Looks like it's Frimpong, a player that has not come out for the second half. Trossard down the line, Rice is on the move, inside of Kusunu. Now it's with Havertz, inside the area and still going. Declan Rice once again. Trossard, Jorginho. Miles Lewis Skelly. Along with Ethan Nwaneri, midfielder of rich promise. Player that we did see in America. Featured in every single game, started just the one. And then under-17 international who played at the World Cup at under-17 level in 2023. Not part of the European Championship squad in 24. Ethan Nwaneri was. Always a big call. Young players, do you keep them with your squad for a year or two? Do you loan them out? Are they a little bit too young at 17? Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri to loan to a lower league team. It's a difficult one because you want them to get minutes, and they're going to be frustrated if they don't get a go. They'll feel that they are maybe beyond youth team football.
Yeah, I think it's a really difficult one, Dan, because unfortunately, if you drop down to the Championship, you may be playing at a club, although they're at a high level in the Championship, they may not be playing the kind of football that you need to be playing to get back into the side that you've left, your club side. You know, I saw it at Bristol Rovers. We had a lad come down from Blackburn, and basically it was kick and rush, but he'd been used to playing football. When he went back to Blackburn, he was further away from the first team squad than when he left. So it's a decision for the players to make, and for the manager, like you said, to keep them in and around the squad, involved all the time, like he has done with Reece Nelson over the years, nurture them, hope that they progress with that squad. Because I think you can take something away from their game if you send them to another club, a lower league one. Now, I don't want to be disrespectful to the football, but Arteta don't really want his players coming back playing Championship winning football. He wants to win the Premiership with them. So it's a tough call.
Jorginho over the top for Ødegaard, not going to get to that. Yeah, it's difficult. They've got to be in the right environment. They've got to be the right type of team, and not easy. Championship sides have their own agenda, of course.
That's a loose touch.
It's a championship touch. EFL getting one or two reducers from myself and David. Ball's gone out of play. So Kusunu rather will take the throw.
I think there's an interesting dynamic about the game now, because although Arsenal are slightly less experienced at the back, they've upped the ante across the front line with the likes of Saka. So Leverkusen are looking a lot more stretched, and even with good possession, finding it difficult to make the space because they don't want to leave the likes of Saka alone. They need two players on him now. So it's kind of changed. So in some ways it might have relieved the pressure on the back four.
Incapi first time ball in, and the hit from Teller is wide. It was a difficult opportunity for the former Southampton man. Didn't score in the Bundesliga last season. Didn't quite connect as he wanted. Not the easiest of chances, this, David.
No, and it was important for Miles Lewis-Skelly to be in the right defensive position. He had his body open. He could see the player. He could see Teller on his outside. He knew where he was coming from. He tracked him towards the penalty spot and got the block in. So good awareness by the youngster there. And again, it's about decision making. He could have been just staring at the ball watching, tried to win the ball, but kept his eye on the ball and man.
Tapsoba for Kovar. Ovechkin certainly is the number one for Bayer Leverkusen. He is on the bench for this game. Real experienced Finnish international. Has played in pre-season games already, but Kovar is getting the nod. There is Lewis Kelly, throw in for Arsenal, which the youngster will take. Waits some more. Needs a bit of help. Rice provides it. Lewis Kelly will turn. Gabriel. Kivior. Layoff from Trossard. Gabriel again. David Raya under pressure from Adley. It's a little route one, but it might work out. Havertz bullying Jonathan Tah here, still has it inside the area, does remarkably well, and then goes down. The referee does not give Arsenal a penalty, but it's something when you look at the physicality of Jonathan Tah, you think, well, Havertz probably won't be able to mix it with him, but he did more than that then.
Yeah, to be fair, defender's first mistake is letting the ball bounce. He should have, as soon as you do that, you're on the back foot, because though he's got a slightly less physical presence, Havertz, he was the favourite in position for the ball, because he managed to get himself between the ball and the defender, and once it's bounced, there was no way back. Just really, you know, good experience, clever play from Havertz. And again, that's the thing. I think you add that to our season last season. Little things like that. When you're playing on the last man, you're stretching the opposition. It's what he brings to the side. And we've seen him go in, and now he's playing more centre forward like Jesus was. He's gone back into that role.
Kusunu for Tah. Alex Garcia to turn. Diagonal for Incapi to stretch, can't keep it in.
It was the right idea to spray the ball out, but Saka had a lovely position. This is Havertz using his body, just getting between man and ball, causing a problem. Almost got the second ball from his own challenge in there. But he's playing predominantly more up front now. We're not seeing him drop back into the midfield as much.
Scored against Liverpool in the defeat in Philadelphia, 13 in the Premier League last season. It took him a little bit of time to get going. Best ever in a league campaign for the team that he faces today. Leverkusen wants it 17. Didn't work out at Chelsea. He said that he wasn't a striker. Well, Mikel Arteta has made him into one if he wasn't before. Maybe just the way Arsenal play, maybe just the environment. Xhaka over the top for Adley, bounces through for Raya.
Good run by Adley, because although it was a straight ball, he noticed that both central defenders were a little bit flat. In the first half, when Gabriel goes in, Saliba tucks around a little bit, but Kivior and Gabriel there just a little bit square, so there was a slight opportunity if that ball was inch perfect from Xhaka over to Adley.
That's Kivior, who has been impressive so far in pre-season and did little wrong when called upon last campaign. And at the weekend, final warm-up before the big kick-off against Wolves. 3 o'clock kick-off for Arsenal, rarity for the Gunners' opening weekend. Neil's side making the trip south. Not the easiest of starts, I would suggest, from an Arsenal point of view. Wolves are home, Villa away. We know how good Aston Villa were last campaign. Brighton, Spurs, home and away. City away. Challenging.
Yeah, I think the first 3 games, you look at the Villa game, and Villa, and that's going to be a difficult one. Brighton as well, because they've been good when they've come to the Emirates before. They've always looked a tidy side. But it's really, I think, that getting that Tottenham one out of the way nice and early, go down the road, beat their rivals, our rivals. I'm not sure if they're your rivals, Dan, but they're definitely mine. And, yeah, get that confidence in the bag, get the bragging rights in, done, then concentrate, I think, on that big Man City game.
Yeah, fixture flipped, interestingly. North London derby, usually Emirates first and away at Spurs second. Not this season, or this forthcoming season. Here is Ødegaard. Trossard. With Skelly. Gabriel. Arsenal taking charge once again. No significant goal-mouth action just yet. Although not tested since the restart. Incapi. Alex Garcia for Jonathan Tah. Back towards Mate Kovar. Xhaka dropping deep. Not a happy return just yet, but I'm sure he's enjoyed seeing 1 or 2 familiar faces and friends. Jorginho does brilliantly. Robs Havertz. Saka is the Italian again. It's a little sloppy straight to Xhaka. Adley wants it back. Terrier not quite on the same wavelength. New signing, of course, from Rennes. 7 goals last season, 1 or 2 injury issues. 46 in 111 is a good return for the French striker. Teller. Xhaka. Arsenal standoff. Xhaka ball at his feet. Tapsoba. Terrier dropping deep. Alex Garcia, Xhaka, Leverkusen probe away, Havertz. Back in defensive mode for the Gunners, as Leverkusen look to find a way through.
The trouble with Leverkusen is there's lots of nice little passes, but there's no little penetrating runs going through the back four. Everyone's coming off and getting the ball. It's all coming off, and then they end up going wide, crossing it. Arsenal, there you go.
Havertz. Well, the run was made by Nathan Teller. Better ball in. Doesn't quite hit the target. Gabriel might just need a second.
Yeah, they're working the ball to the edge of the box, and that one was more of a direct run into the box. But again, it's a cross in. Whereas what Arsenal, when they get in the opposition box, there's lots of little movements, trying to expose little opportunities to get in behind players, moving defenders around. We saw with the second goal, when they gave the ball away, Leverkusen. Arsenal just, you know, Trossard in the end showing great composure, but they just played around with it, didn't they, until they got the free space.
Hendrik and Belotien coming on. The latter, a new signing from Rennes, teenage defender. Hendrik has got much more experience. The German international played in all of Germany's European Championship fixtures on home turf in the summer. Further alterations are coming as well. Looks like we're going to see Jonas Hoffmann and potentially Gustavo Puerta might be coming on as well. Plenty getting stripped and ready for Leverkusen. Artur is another. 5 getting readied. This might be the time to make the change. Is Xabi Alonso and co ready? Arsenal have got Leverkusen have got a free kick taken quickly. That's through here for Adli to race free. Gabriel is across. It's towards Teller. First time strike is wide of the target. Always stretching to get to that, Nathan Teller. It was fairly fierce towards him, and it fizzed away.
Yeah, he needed to be a bit more on it as the pass went in, be a bit sharper. He was trying to play right on the line behind Skelly. He noticed that Lewis Skelly has turns his back on it just for a slight second, but he thinks Teller's offside. Just came from a little bit of indecision between Ben White and Kivior on the right-hand side of defence. And these are the little things that Arteta would be looking at. You know, if I put that player in there, are they going to operate as well as the other player? What can they do good? What are they better at? What are they not so good at? So it does give him an opportunity to look at the likes of Kivior, Lewis Skelly on this left-hand side.
Changes of foot, as we mentioned. Artur, you can see Robert Andrich next to him. We're also going to see Jonas Hoffmann, Artur, Adam Hojek is going to come on, and Jean-Noël Benossien at number 44, who's coming off. Havertz and Tar, two to be replaced. Further players coming to the touchline. Adli is another one to go. Tellier as well, I think it's come off, has it? Always difficult. They don't make it easy for us, do they? There's multiple changes. We will rattle through them in full in a second. Alterations for Arsenal, a little easier to identify. It's only a couple. Thomas Partey is coming on. And Ethan Nwaneri as well. Ødegaard and Jorginho, the players to come off. So Thomas Partey, who missed a whole rake of last campaign, only started 9 games, of course, pushing towards 100 fixtures for the club in the Premier League. Nwaneri's on. We saw a brief glimpse there of Ethan Nwaneri as well. Made that substitute appearance against West Ham in the Premier League last season. Youngest ever Premier League player when he appeared against Brentford the previous campaign. And a real star of the England under 17 teams over the course of the last few years. Jorginho seems a little bit frustrated to come off, but he must know the drill by now. That was Lewis Skelly. Good turn away from Nathan Teller. Thomas Partey. And then Kivior.
Yes, it's interesting what a difference a year makes, isn't it, with Ethan Nwaneri. I mean, apparently the manager didn't even know him, Dan, did he? He was just told by his coaching staff, and now he's part of the squad. Can't believe that for a second. He's been a standout in the youth sides. No surprise that he's getting his rewards now in the first team. But nice gesture as well when he came on. Granit Xhaka straight away, first person to go up and give him a pat on the back. I think we know that Granit was always for the youth at the side, especially in his last 2 seasons, you know, bringing the young lads through. Got to say as well, I think there was a period when it was him and Lacazette in the first team, you know, running a little crowd of the Hale End boys, carrying them through games when Saka was first fresh on the scene. Ketia, Reece Nelson.
The production line certainly has proved to be very good. This is Rice to curl in. Alex Garcia back to clear. Straight for Trossard, who stayed on. Now Rice. That was Lewis Skelly for Gabriel. Just caught in 2 minds all the way back to David Raya.
I've got to say, Ethan Nwaneri was really close then, wasn't he? That little pass from Declan Rice, I'm not sure if he meant it for Nwaneri, but the youngster picked up the pace in that last part of the run and found himself a little pocket of space, and he was only a yard away from that.
Gunners coming forward again. Saka, first time to run at the Leverkusen backline, takes it to the byline. And put it home from close range. Wonderfully done by Havertz. Really good reaction inside the 6-yard box. Saka and Havertz combination that we saw so often last season, coming up trumps once again here, and that is a poacher's instinct from the German against his former club. Gets the first goal of this second half, and the fourth all told as the Gunners extend their advantage. Arsenal 4, Leverkusen 0.
Yeah, it's Ranieri that starts this off again. Lovely little drive, straight at the back four. He has it backing off. Gives the ball to Saka, who's in a space on the right. Saka does the classic Saka move, just drags it to his left, onto his right foot. Defender has a bit of a nightmare and gets the block in, but it's a really dangerous ball across the box, and it just goes straight to Havertz, who's there to pounce in that centre-forward position, the poacher's position. And this is standard Saka, and these defenders not learned what Saka does. He shows you which way he's going to go, and then he goes there. But they still can't stay with him.
Two pre-season. Havertz did score a couple in the Euros, of course, from the spot for Germany. But midpoint of this second half, pretty much giving Arsenal a fourth against the German champions. Teller's on the move, just behind Projek. On as a substitute. It's a good-looking ball over to the left-hand side, though. And suddenly, Leverkusen have got players inside the box, but they can't get beyond Thomas Partey here. Confidently done, coolly done, all class. Truss up. Skelly found the Belgian for Rice. To his man. Young defender. Signed from America of Brazil. Handful of appearances last season, now at left back. It could be one of those players that went off. Projek, Belsian, Altor, Andrich, Hoffman. Victor Boniface is now on as well. Teller came on at half-time, of course. There was the complete list of changes for Leverkusen as they freshen things up for the final quarter of the fixture. Arsenal on the move. Ranieri drifts from right to left. Looks for Trossard, just about gets his studs to that. Takes a bit of the pace off the ball. This is Rice. Ranieri so close to racing free towards the penalty area.
Really good defending by Tapsoba there, but Ranieri's really lively. He's got low centre of gravity, pushes down into the ground, he moves off really quick, straight into space with the ball there, and that turn almost fooled the Leverkusen defender.
Andrich to Alex Garcia. Leverkusen living dangerously and giving the ball away. Saka this time with the interception, looking fresh and determined, and then brought down by Artur. This is Havertz. He's remarkable, isn't he? Bukayo Saka, he just plays so many games. Featured in every single fixture for England at the Euros, and last season in the Premier League, 35 games, 16 goals, fantastic return.
I did a quote about him last year. It said his best ability is his availability.
Like that. Might steal it this season. Here is Trossard.
You probably will, Dan. As he writes it down on his notepad. Look.
Doesn't always work out. I'm always available. I don't get the nod. Rice. I'll tell you what, why not have a go with Koval? Maybe a little suspect from distance, but that one off target.
Yeah, he saw the first two shots, didn't he, in the first half? Trouble him, the little skimmers along the floor. More changes for Arsenal as we approach 70 minutes.
Arsenal substitution number 6, Gabriel.
So Gabriel coming off. Who are we going to see here? Josh Nichols is one of the players coming on. We're going to see Eddie Nketiah as well. And also a young defender who played a couple of times from the off in America, and also a substitute appearance as well, Aidan Heaven. So those are the 3 alterations. Gabriel, Ben White, both coming off. Who else? Havertz also to be replaced, having scored his goal against his former club. Eddie Nketiah on, and he will play through the centre. Heaven is a centre-back. And Josh Nichols is going to play right back.
Yeah, we're looking at a super young side now, aren't we? And I think, you know, Arteta's given him a little chunk of a game, hasn't he, to go and perform.
20 minutes, yeah.
You've got 20 minutes. Don't let a goal in. You know, do yourself justice out there. Play the way the team want to play. Get into the groove of things. Get a little feel for it. You're under no pressure.
I mean, one thing I would say, I mean, Arsenal have gone young with their changes, but by Leverkusen, the vast majority are experienced players who took significant part in the double-winning side, and the likes of Victor Boniface, who did have 1 or 2 injury issues last season, didn't play every single fixture. Interesting to see him come on and lead the line.
I think what's good about this decision from Arteta to play these players at this stage in the game as well is that there's been lots of changes in the Leverkusen setup. So if Arsenal are not completely on point, it's there to suggest that maybe Leverkusen are not going to be at their best. They've just all come together on the pitch. You know what it's like when there are wholesale changes. It upsets the dynamic. So ultimately these players can get really good experience with little risk of damage, if that makes sense. They can get the experience of the Emirates Stadium, the fans, you know, the buzz in the dressing room after winning 4-0. That's all on the cards now for them, if they can do their job in the last 20. And that's as important as getting the 4-goal start for Arteta. Because what he's giving those kids, you can't give it to them during the Premier League season. This can't happen, because every game's the most important game.
Nichols to come forward. Saka to race free. Nichols inside the area, covering challenges good enough from Artur.
I mean, that's got to be great for Josh Nichols there. He's just romping down the right. He gives the ball to Saka, and Saka, instead of just cutting inside and having a shot, Saka gives it back to him, Dan.
Love that.
That's brilliant, isn't it? You know, he's going to be telling all his mates, hold on, did you see that? I played a 1-2 with Saka in the box today. You know, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting where I need to be.
Xhaka lets it run through. Sion back towards Andrich. And a touch for Hoffman. Tipsober has stayed on. Xhaka forward. Leverkusen enjoying a little bit of possession, but it's in the wrong half, and Saka might pounce here up against Artur again. Bukayo Saka, and Nketiah waits inside the penalty area. Curled forward by Thomas Partey, flicked away. And out here for a throw into Arsenal. Rice. Skelly. Having the centre back. Partey forwards. Trossard. Looks like he's going to play the full 90, the Belgian.
A little bit of a Mexican wave going on now. The fans are enjoying this game, the scoreline at the moment. Hopefully they'll all be back at the weekend. Arsenal can play to the same sort of level against Olympique Lyonnais.
Very disappointed you didn't join in with the Mexican wave, David.
I did, but I'm just really small, you didn't notice. I didn't actually stand up and sit down, Dan, but I've never been the tallest. It wasn't just wind, that was me doing the Mexican wave.
16 minutes remaining. Arsenal lead the German double winners from last season by 4-0. This has been a good workout against a side, yes, that might be a little bit behind in terms of fitness and scheduling. Their season starting a week later in terms of league play, but they do have a German Super Cup against Stuttgart on the opening weekend of the Premier League season, so you'd think that they would be fairly at it. Arsenal, off the back of a so-so performance against Liverpool, started well. Young team were beaten in the end. Manchester United were beaten. Bournemouth, of course, by way of a penalty shootout. Lots of positives in pre-season, one more game to come. Any signings to come, I wonder? Be interesting to see. Teller looking to use his pace here. That's a clever ball as well. Big chance to get one back for Leverkusen, and it's been taken by Adam Hojek. Cleverly done. And a really good move down the right-hand side. Teller involved. Hojek, the Czech Republic international, with a clever finish. David Raya beaten. Leverkusen managed to pull one back.
Yes, I mean, it's a classic goal in an end-to-end sort of style game. Perhaps over there with a little nutmeg, I think, on Trossard as he came over, opened up the space in the midfield. Lewis Skelly gets drawn out slightly towards the ball, leaves a space in behind him. You know, and like I said, there's been changes, so you haven't got that fluency in the cover across the centre-back positions. Be disappointing for the side. You know, it's only been 6 minutes and it's now 4-1. However, you look at the players and the movement up front, you can still see more goals in it for Arsenal. But they certainly need players like Thomas Partey now need to just step in and say, hold on a minute, let's close the gaps up a little bit, let's get a little bit more structure back. Remember what the objective of the game is.
Goals galore late on for Leverkusen last season. Nearly got knocked out of the Europa League by Karabakh. They scored in the 93rd and 98th minute to deny Karabakh in the Europa League knockout stages in the round of 16. They left it pretty late to score home to West Ham in the first leg. Their fixture against a Premier League side. They were scoring in the 97th minute against Roma in European football. They just had that ability, that knack, that never say die, that resilience, that belief that got them late goals. This is a friendly, of course, it doesn't matter, but when you do it regularly, you start to tend to just believe you're going to do it in every single game.
Yeah, it may just be a friendly, but Arteta, one of the very few times today he's out of his technical area, back to where we saw him for most of the Premier League last year, just outside his technical area. Yeah, and he weren't happy. He's trying to reposition a couple of the defenders. Miles Lewis-Skelly wants him to get more forward, press into that sort of middle, left-sided midfield role. He feels that possibly Leverkusen are getting too much space in there.
Andrich Xhaka. Leverkusen build again. Teller right-hand side. Xhaka thought about clipping it over the top. Arsenal with a high line. Touch from Hoffman. Xhaka, Hoffman. Swiss has it again. Teller right-hand side. Boniface has dropped a little deep on the left. Hojek through the centre. Almost old-fashioned strikers in terms of their size and positioning in Boniface and Hojek at the minute for Leverkusen. Here is Teller breaking through on the right-hand side. Twist and a turn. I don't think he's kept that one in play. He hasn't.
They couldn't quite keep that in play, but they are pulling Arsenal around a little bit more. I think it's Aidan Heaven and Miles Lewis-Skelly on this side, just getting a little bit indecisive whether to go in and go short. So the indecision helps Leverkusen, opens up a space. Like I said, they're lacking any experience around them now, to be fair. Kivior being the most experienced in that back four. You know, they're really out there on their own. So, Xhaka receiving a standing ovation as well from this crowd, Dan.
And a hug from Mikel Arteta. Really looking forward to coming back. He was all business when he was asked about this fixture, saying it's a special stadium, special atmosphere, but we've got a very strong opponent in waiting. It's a massive challenge for us. He was taking it very seriously, but all smiles as he comes off and embraces his former coach.
Yeah, but I think on the flip side of that, he's been totally respectful from a physical point of view. We all know what Granit Xhaka can do, and he can intimidate players physically. You know, he's certainly been protecting the Arsenal players today, Dan.
You'd like to think there'd be some sort of agreement between Messrs. Mikel Arteta and
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
Xabi Alonso. Look, you know,
I mean, I've seen pictures of them together as little boys.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
they played in the street together. Surely they can have a word before the game and say, look, don't kick my players and mine won't kick yours. Our season starts in 2 weeks, which I think is absolutely fair, and it needs to be done. There's a nice sub coming on for Arsenal.
Martinelli about to be introduced. Before the corner or after?
I think he's a player that needs to kick on this season. He had highs and lows last season, fantastic at his best, but sometimes maybe not involved enough, some would say. So, you know, he's got a big season coming up, Martinelli.
Trossard coming off, Martinelli coming off. At the minute, for me, Trossard holds that position, but Mikel Arteta will have his own idea. You could argue that Martinelli, stronger runner with the ball maybe, but Trossard's ability just to put the ball in the back of the net, certainly last season, was unbelievable. Martinelli had a bit of a dip in terms of goals scored, but he's got his own quality. It's a great problem for Mikel Arteta to have.
Yeah, and there's reasons why they're different players. Martinelli, I think, maybe last season got a little bit snuffed out by opposition. They would do their study, they would do their video analysis, and I think Martinelli needs a couple more tricks in his bag, whereas Trossard is much more unpredictable than Martinelli.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think his unpredictability gives him the edge, and Martinelli needs to find a little bit of that. You know, he needs to ask more questions of defenders rather than just, I am going to run you out of the ground with pace.
Boniface to make it difficult for the Arsenal backline, cleared away. Well, 8 minutes to go. Just sense that the Leverkusen players still believe that they might be able to grab a few goals here. Unfamiliar and young backline that the Gunners have got in place at the minute. He's made the run, nearly diverted to a Leverkusen player in the shape of Teller. It's a throw-in.
Yeah, I think the experience of the Leverkusen players is showing, because they're making much more direct runs against the younger defenders. They're trying to get in behind Heaven and in behind Lewis Skelly. They're making little angled runs in there.
Teller. Alex Garcia. Hoffman has come on and demanded the ball and looked very good in midfield. Tapsoba is going to stick out the full 90 perhaps. Curled towards Teller. Well, if it had gambled, might have kept that one in play, but he just seemed to hesitate.
I think Miles Lewis Skelly there just kept him in a position where it was a difficult ball. I think if he'd have been a couple of paces further forward, he'd have been able to chip it over and get it not under so much pressure. It would have been an easier pass for the midfield. But he just gave him enough angle, as if to say, go on, pass it to him and I might have a chance.
Right goes long. Kivior's header passes overhead, and Ketcher running on. Diving header from Tapsoba is good enough. Kovar to collect.
I've been impressed with him, Tapsoba.
Yes, that's all right.
He's played on this right-hand side, and he's come in and covered not only the central defenders that are playing now, but the ones that started the match. He was always getting himself wrapped around them. He looks tidy, he's got a nice touch, a couple of little nutmegs and a bit of skill.
Yeah, look, the pick of the three that started, certainly. Sanu a little younger. Jonathan Tarr maybe not 100% fit after playing in the Euros and coming back a little bit later. Andrich for Hoffman. Wojcik. Andrich again. Curled through towards Hoffman, just needed to get a boot to that to take the pace off it, but he just couldn't do that. Clever.
Yeah, he saw the little gap again. It was indecision a little bit from Arsenal in defence. Do I go in and press? Do I go? And at the last minute, Heaven goes in and presses, and the space behind him opens up. Hoffman gets in there, but can't bring the ball down. Clever play from Leverkusen. Arsenal still doing well enough to more than win this game. I think Arteta will be delighted with all the players today. Perfect first game at the Emirates.
Alex Garcia away, but if has to turn away from Kivior, does that neatly outside of the boot, tries to get something going with Wojciech, but it's cleared away by David Raya, alive to the threat. Injured mid-season, the Nigerian. It was thought that Leverkusen might struggle. They didn't. Aside from Union Saint-Gilloise, the Belgian side last summer, still waiting with 14 goals in the German top flight, 18 starts. He looks serious centre forward, doesn't he? Teller going to go himself, but for the third time on the spin, he can't keep it in play. Skelly, he's playing left back. Look, his position in trade is midfield for the junior teams, but obviously Mikel Arteta wants to look at him in that position.
Yeah, I think Mikel Arteta, he wants to defender first. You've got to, if you're given a job as a defender, that's got to be your first thought. You know, am I going to get beat here? And if the opportunity comes to move forward in them spaces, you become bring that bit more to the team. There's that bit extra in your game. So he wants to develop both parts of it. Yes, he needs to work on maybe his defensive shape. We can see there he was a little bit square on, just as Leverkusen are working across the pitch now. But it's a difficult position to get used to. He's getting plenty of encouragement from Arteta.
Saka rides one challenge and another. Doesn't shirk the third. Was caught, but referee Barrett plays on, and then Rice steps on the ball.
Yeah, let's hope Rice hasn't hurt his ankle there, because he did step on the ball. You're dead right. And he's running a little bit gingerly at the moment.
But if has to come forward, Nathan Teller again. Good challenge. And Skelly saw that one. Timed it beautifully.
Yeah, Declan Rice realises what a good position he was in there. He just pushed his fists down to the ground. Saka, 1, 2, 3. Finally he gets chopped, but the referee, who's had a good game, allows play to go on.
He said there was an agreement between the players not to go in now.
Yeah, but when Saka's he's took the absolute you-know-what for 3 challenges, the fourth one who comes in forgets all that, doesn't he?
Yellow card here for the pull of the shirt. Puerto goes into the book. Sign from Bogota.
It's a bit like that old game. I'm not sure whether it was Leeds against someone, and Leeds Southampton back in the day, and they
probably was Leeds.
They made about 20 passes, and then there was an Olé and an Olé, and every challenge was missing, and then blatantly next one didn't even go for the ball. I'm just going to take the player out.
Party. Martinelli, first run at Tapsoba. Turns back on his right, does get the cross in. Saka, all sorts of things going through his head as it floated towards him, just got away from the right boot. Catches layoff, and a second chance. Pull back, intercepted. Artur.
I think Nketiah had a little bit more time now. Needed to show a tiny bit more composure and just pull it straight across.
In the heart of things, not letting his man pass. We're into the 90th minute. I suspect if we do have any added on minutes, we're looking at 1 or 2. We've had a number of substitutions, all depends what the officials want to do here, but it is a friendly. It is a school mark. Actually, there is no school, is there, at the moment? School's out. Good job as well for the amount of youngsters on show for Arsenal. Andrick for Alex Garcia to curl forward. Boniface had made the run. That is full time. It's been a really good workout from an Arsenal point of view. Mikel Arteta up against his old friend, childhood friend in Xabi Alonso, the German double winners put to the sword. 3 goals in the first half. Zinchenko, Trossard, Gabi Jesus. Havertz against his former club, grabbing a 4th before Wojcik managed to